Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Mike Chase here, back again with Madden 26 franchise. This time it is our team reveal. Who are we going to be rocking for our Madden 26 franchise? There's a lot of really good options this year, and it was actually really tough. I really didn't decide on this team until today, August 3rd. Didn't make my decision until right here, just maybe really a few minutes ago. And the decision I have made, well, actually, I'm going to hold you on that a little bit. I got to hold you, right? I got to, do a poll. You might scroll through, but I'm going to go through some teams that I almost picked here. And one of the teams I almost picked was the Miami Dolphins. They were in my, I believe they were in my, top franchise teams I think you should pick. And the Dolphins, I thought about it, and I don't know. I'm just not rocking with the Dolphins. I just thought, I don't like their stadium. I know that sounds really weird, but when you're playing a franchise, you're doing these series, you're going to be spending a lot of time in these teams' stadium, and I don't really like the Dolphin Stadium. It casts way too many harsh shadows. It's hard to see in that stadium at times, so that's kind of why the Dolphins fell by the wayside. Another team I thought about was the New York Giants, actually. The Giants were a team that I really gave some strong consideration to, but I feel like for a franchise, I always want to avoid having players who I feel are a little too overpowered or already really way too good. And I think Malik Neighbors is a guy who kind of falls into that category. So that's kind of why I shied away from the Giants. I think Malik Neighbors already, I think, is one of the top, 10, maybe even top 5. I mean, I really do think Malik Neighbors is that talent. That's how good of a player Malik Neighbors is. And so I didn't want to already have a player, I think, that good, almost game breaking. We know how Madden is. Almost like you don't want to have a guy that good on your franchise right away, especially for a series like this. So the Giants kind of crossed them off of the list. And then another team I had thought about was the Cleveland Browns, actually. I gave the Browns some consideration, but, when they finally put up the website for all the ratings, you can go through, look at them. The Browns, I feel like, just have far too many good players on that defense. They have Denzel Ward. Myles Garrett is rated, he's in the 99 overall club. I mean, I don't know. If it would feel weird starting a franchise with a team that already has a 99 overall player. And so that just wasn't going to fly for me personally. And so the Browns got crossed off the list. I actually thought about maybe rerunning the Jaguars, but we did try them last year. Madden 25 was so bad, so maybe not the Jaguars, but I might do something with that team. So that was kind of the, the AFC, NFC, and really I feel like the NFC, it's a little tough for me to really pick a team. None of the NFC North teams, I think, very interest me that much. I feel like a lot of them are already kind of a little too good. The NFC South, we basically did the Panthers last year with St. Louis Stallions franchise, so that really wasn't going to happen. The Saints, they play in a dome. I don't want to play in a dome for all of my games, all of my home games, to say the least. And the NFC West, I've done the Seahawks before, but I don't feel like anyone else is too interesting. The Cardinals, could have been an interesting choice, but that just, you look at the Cardinals and there's some interest. I mean, Trey McBride would be a really interesting player. They have some older players on the defense over there. Kyler Murray is only a 79 overall. Still not sold on whether or not Kyler is kind of that franchise leading guy. But in a Madden game, he might be just good enough. He probably doesn't have too much room to grow. Already 27 years old, and actually by the time the season starts, he will be 28 years old. So who knows how that progression will hold up. So those are the teams that I had thought about. But what is the team that I am going to choose? Well, here it is, right here.
Do separate Cam Ward from the rest?
I do, yes. And simply because for me, it's, that unique ability he has to create with his right arm that I don't think the other guys really have. And so with that, it gives you that caveat to go, okay, maybe all those other things are the same, but he gives us something that could be special, that could be different. And, you know, I don't know if what you've seen on tape from him says, oh yeah, surefire going to be a star at this level, but I do separate him because he's got some uniqueness to the playmaking ability that he has and what he can do with his right arm that he intrigues you from that perspective.
Well,
Cam Ward, 67% of his passes completed, 4,313 yards, FBS best, 39 touchdowns, just 7 interceptions, played 5 years in college. 5 years. In that time span, 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. We can't ignore that.
First pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Cameron Ward, quarterback, Miami.
It's going to be the Tennessee Titans for Madden 26 franchise. That is who we are rocking with here in franchise mode for Madden 26. The Titans are a very, I think, a good choice. You look at their roster, the best player on this team is Jeffrey Simmons, a defensive tackle. Then it's Kevin Zeitler, a 35-year-old guard. And then it's Tony Pollard, a running back who I feel is rated a little too highly. They do have L'Jarius Sneed, but he's an 84 overall. Calvin Ridley, 81. Xavier Woods, 80. Then it's a bunch of guys down in the 70s. And then really, the main reason why I picked this franchise team, also have Chico Okonkwo on this team, is because of, well, not Will Levis. It is because of Cam Ward. I have never gone with a rookie quarterback that was kind of the first overall pick for a franchise. I've just kind of always avoided those players, and I don't know why, but I've always kind of avoided doing it because I always feel like that was kind of too easy, you know, kind of already picking that sort of player. But I feel like this year with a first overall pick that is only going to be a 72 overall, there's a lot of room to actually grow and mold Cam Ward into, I think, a future franchise quarterback. I don't think Cam Ward is there just yet, but I actually, you know, it's weird. I really do like Cam Ward. I mean, that franchise guy put me onto Cam Ward last year, right as he was transferring to Miami. And, you know, I think this is a guy that, in real life, I think he has a lot of potential. I think he's a guy that seems to be pretty cool, calm, and collective back there. Doesn't seem to worry about pressure too much. That can get you into trouble in real life, but it doesn't seem like too many things faze him. And that's really important, especially when you're going to be playing on this Titans team that is not going to be very good. And so you're going to have to almost have that ability to not get rattled, not really be too worried about the rush getting to you. And that's something that I think Cam Ward has. I think he has pretty good arm talent. Not, you know, it's not Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, where, you know, you feel like you can throw it out of the stadium, but he comes just close enough, and that's just good enough in the NFL. So I think Cam Ward is actually going to be a very good quarterback in real life. And Madden, looking at his ratings on this website, you know, 72 awareness. So, you know, the awareness is a little bit low for such a high pick. I don't know if Caleb Williams was that low last year when he got drafted, but 72 overall awareness means a 72 overall in general. I know some people were not too happy about that, but, you know, it is what it is. This wasn't a highly touted quarterback class. You know, this was a draft where I believe Tyler Shook went in the first round. I think either went in the first round or the second round. I honestly kind of forget. No, second round, very early. I believe he was the third quarterback taken off the board. I mean, you have a draft where Jackson Dart ends up getting drafted, you know, as early as he did. Some people didn't think he should have been drafted that early. And so I really do think that because of that, that's going to make things very interesting. Just such a low-rated rookie quarterback class. I think it's actually pretty cool to take one for one of these series this year, as opposed to, trying to find a team that has a journeyman type of deal. So that's why I decided to go with the Titans. It really was Cam Ward was kind of the main reason why I decided to go that direction. Look at the rest of the roster, and again, you still look up and down the roster. It's, receiver is another position where there's some young talent at receiver for this team, but the best talent is a little older. I mean, it's Calvin Ridley on here, so that's a situation too where you kind of look at it and go like, it's Calvin Ridley and Tyler Lockett and Van Jefferson. Those are your top 3 receivers on this team. And Van Jefferson, a lot of hype coming out of college, hasn't put it together in the pros. Tyler Lockett, really good receiver, but on the older side. Tyler Lockett, let me look up the age here. He's 32. So, it's one of those things where it's like, geez, it's an older receiving core. So that's what we're going to have to build up around Cam Ward, Calvin Ridley. 30 will be 31 after the first season of this franchise. That's a guy that I'm not going to look to keep around long term. He's going to have really bad regression. They do have Alec Aomanor and Xavier Restrepo, who had a terrible pro day. 84 speed in the game. That'll be interesting to see how that actually works in game. A lot of people were really high on him, but then he just had that terrible pro day. And so there is that. You also have Chamir Deke. I have to be careful with that. Chamir DK is how it's pronounced. 23 years old, but also pretty good. Ran a 4.34. Guy, Wisconsin guy. So 94 speed. He's going to come in at 70 overall. So there's a mix of old veterans on this team, and so. But there's also a mix of some, I think, interesting young talent as well that I think we can try to build up. But also, we'll try to acquire talent as well in this dynasty. Cornerback room will have to be rebuilt. Defensive tackle looks pretty good with Jeffrey Simmons leading the way. But, there's some other things we're going to have to get on this defense as well. You have Tavondre Sweat on this team. But I probably want a couple other guys on here too. But I'm going to get out of here. I could spend the entire time going down this entire roster, but I'm not going to do that because, well, I'll have time to do that when we actually get the game here in a couple days. So I want to thank you for watching this video. Be sure to come back for Titans franchise. Hit subscribe. Who are you running with in Madden 26 franchise? Let me know down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.